Good morning all, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to look at perspective in much more detail. We touched on it a bit when we did ellipses, but there's certainly a lot more to learn about perspective, and I am no professional at this, and it's something that I've had to learn and struggle with, and it's not as always as easy as it appears, but there are tips and tricks, excuse me, that will help you to get the angles right, and I'm going to take you through that today. So let's have a look at how it goes and how it works and what you need to try and do. One more thing before we start, because this is quite a large subject which requires a large amount of description and explanation, it will be in several parts. This is part one. Please stay tuned for the next parts that follow. Thank you. So here is an example of perspective looking down a street with buildings on each side. There's another one coming up that shows a different type of perspective. You must also realize that perspective is also about the size of something against the rest of the items in the picture. So if I hold something close to me, it's big. If I move it further away, it becomes smaller. So you need to know when you draw how to size something so that it fits in with the rest of the perspective of the drawing, and you don't make a tree much bigger than the building and it looks odd. So that's also part of perspective. Right now we're looking at these two types of perspective, 2-point and 3-point perspective. Alright, so the first rule, and this is a scientific rule, it's not something that's made up by artists, is the horizon line. And that black horizontal line you can see going across the page is what we call the horizon line, and it can be anywhere on the page, higher, lower, etc. I've drawn mine pretty much eye level, and on it sits a square or a rectangle, and from the front anything that's on the horizon line will have no perspective whatsoever. You see the shape exactly. So you've seen the horizon line. As I said, you can have it anywhere, and anything that's sitting on that horizon line will be a flat plane surface, whatever shape it is. As soon as you deviate from that horizon line and you move up, down, left or right, you start to turn the object and you start to get perspective. And as soon as you turn the object, you then start seeing, if it's a cube, other parts of that object. So for example, that rectangle you saw, if I moved it below the horizon line but I kept it at 90 degrees to the horizon line, you would start to see the top of that rectangle and you'd start to see some kind of perspective forming, and I will demonstrate that now. Right, so here we have 2-point perspective. Now if you notice the center, there is a horizontal line going right across, and there's a vertical line 90 degrees to it. There is a square or a cube sitting on that horizon line, and you can see that it's just a plain flat square. You can't see any other parts of it. However, if you look at the one above, you'll notice you can now see two corners and the bottom. So you have two vanishing points. The lines that are going away from the box that are meeting at the point on the far left, and the lines going away from the cube meeting in the corner on the far right. Those are vanishing points. Now in most cases you won't even see them on your page because you won't have enough space. They actually never meet. They just keep going on forever. But this gives you an idea of how it works. So look at the bottom box as well. You can see the top. Right, so you can see the vanishing points moving away from the cube on top. You have the top vanishing points, and you have the left and right vanishing points. Now when you draw your cubes, you're going to use this as a basis for the angles of your lines. And you will see, I will show you in a later video how that is actually done. And you'll see the top cube, the bottom cube, and the cube on the horizon line. And you can see distinctly the differences when you move off of the horizon line. And by the way, this is 2-point perspective. In the next video we'll cover 3-point perspective and more. So thanks for watching.